Hello, hello, how are you doing? Welcome back to another Honkai lore discussion stream. How are you guys? Let me know if you can hear me okay. Good, awesome. Yeah, it's been a while. I have been very busy the past few weeks. I know that it passed quite a few weeks since the chapter fully released, but I haven't got the time to do a discussion stream for this one. I've been very busy both IRL and working on videos, so yeah, I'm glad that I was able to do it today. Hi Homu, hope everything is good. Thank you Agni, hope that everything is good on your end as well. Like your newest video, thank you Muhammad. Thank you, I really appreciate it. The amount of work that went in that video was really incredible. At some point I really thought that I'm never going to bring that video out. I think that it literally took me more than a month to make it, but in the end it was worth it. It's my best performing video since ever, at least in the first few weeks, so I'm very happy that it was so well received. Yeah, I would normally like to do this kind of streams, type of streams where we just gather and talk about the lore once a week, but unfortunately it's not possible, especially now since it's summertime and something always, especially in the weekend, something always comes up. But yeah. And honestly, even today, I'm feeling pretty tired, so I think that maybe the stream will be a bit shorter than usual. I mean, I don't know yet. It all depends on how I'm gonna feel. I thought about rescheduling it in the morning when I woke up, but I was like, this is the only day when I can stream for at least the next 2 weeks, so it's either I do it today or I don't do it at all. So here we are. But yeah, I'm feeling much better now, but when I woke up I was really tired. Did you literally have to learn half of Chinese to make that video? Not really. This is something that I explained in the comments and in other circles where I talk to the people. I had to learn very little Chinese to explain those words, because the Hoyostan team who helped me making that video and the entire series actually already had people that translated the terminology for quite some time, and they have people that study the language among them, that also, from my understanding, also double check with information with other people that speak Chinese. So I pretty much had them helping me with that, so it was not just me trying to figure things out. It was a collective effort from me and the Hoyostans community. So it was a lot easier to get the information across. I didn't have to learn an entire new language for that video alone. But I did dabble in a bit, especially regarding of those terms. But I wouldn't say that I know Chinese. I just know a few words due to me researching. Bro, do you have time to watch anime or play other stuff? Usually yes. When I'm not very busy, especially before I go to sleep, I usually take a few minutes, maybe even an hour, to watch 1 or 2 episodes of some series that I really like. And games, I always try to do my dailies, at least in Honkai Impact 3rd, in Honkai Star Rail, when I have the time. And it's much easier because I recently upgraded my phone a few months ago, and now I can actually play them on my phone. So since then it became a lot more easier to keep up with my dailies. No need to stress over it when I get home to make time for myself. I can just do it on the go or when I have a small break at work. But yeah, other games besides Hoyo games, not really. I think the last game I played was The Legend of Zelda Tears of Kingdom when it came out. And even that game, I think I played 15 to 20 hours. I just visited the first temple, and I had to drop it because I didn't have time to finish it. I mean, I will finish it someday, I hope. Copium, at least that's how I lie to myself to justify the fact that I don't play it in my head anymore. Yeah. So is the 6.9 trailer is forbidden to be discussed then? No, here's how what we're gonna do. In the first part we will talk about chapter 39 and everything that happened is released on the global server. And at the end of the stream, I will point this out again. We will move on potential discussions for chapter 40, and we will talk about the 6.9 trailers. But I will announce that before we do that, so that the people that don't want to be spoiled on the new trailer and want to watch it when it will be released on the global YouTube channel can tune out. So for the moment, don't mention anything from the trailer, but we will get to discuss about the trailer later into the stream. Speaking of other games, the new Fontaine Archon quest was actually incredible. I actually enjoyed playing Genshin after a long time. Hope you keep this up. Hope they keep this up. Yeah, I heard a lot of people saying good things about the new Fontaine Archon quest. Unfortunately, I'm still stuck in the desert, and my OCD won't let me move to Fontaine until I complete everything. So yeah, I want to 100% every region of the desert. I want to do every quest, every side quest, and only after that I will move up. I will move on to Fontaine. Yeah, but I made some progress in the last few weeks. I'm almost done with the desert of the upper part of the desert, where we have the whole quest chain with the Tanit tribe and Jet. I'm almost done with that part, and that means that after I'm done with that, I only have one more desert region to finish. And I still have some character quests. I have Nahida's second quest, and I have Baiju and Yoimiya's second quest to finish. And after that I'll move on to Fontaine. Are there any games from Gamescom that interests you? Honestly, I didn't really watch Gamescom, and oh my god, I just noticed that my chat is off. I didn't really watch the game show. I was looking through it to look at the Hoyoverse trailers. But I don't really look at anything else. I saw that everybody was talking about Project Mugen, that new urban RPG. And I watched the trailer, and yes, it looked really cool. And sure, I want to play it when it will be released, but other than that, I didn't really kept up with anything related to Gamescom. Speaking of HSR, did you know that the Eon's aha laugh when you are fighting Fantilia at the second phase? Yes, I know. I also tried to do it in my game, and yeah, it's true. If you do not if you just sit idly in Fantilia second phase, after a couple of minutes you can hear a laugh, which is a very, very creepy and fun detail. Also, hello, Max K. So, how does Seele become a Herrscher exactly? Red Seele was going through a mental meltdown and boom, HRB comes just like that. I mean, it was explained how she became a Herrscher. It wasn't very clearly explained. You had to pay close attention to figure things out. Basically, what happened? During their plan, Kira used the key of the Beyond to gather Honkai energy and create an imaginary singularity, aka a Herrscher core. Kira managed to create an Herrscher core, but after the merging of the two bubble universes, basically everyone besides Proxy Vita and Dark Seele was gone. And the Herrscher core searched for a host, but Dark Seele, aka Veliona, subconsciously rejected the Herrscher core. So the core wandered around and found Light Seele's soul, which was about to dissipate due to the merging of the two bubble universes, and basically chose her as the Herrscher host. And because this Herrscher core had the authority of creation and withering, paralleling the Herrscher of Death on the Cocoon side, it created a new body for Light Seele. So that's why she appeared out of the blue. And this is all explained afterwards, after the whole thing is over, by Vita standing menacingly on top of the tower and looking at the two Seeles. It was a very quick explanation and very brief. And this is, and also keep in mind that this is Vita basically speculating, meaning that that's what she thinks that it happened. So yeah, but that's all the information we have about that. So yeah, in a way it was kind of random, but it was kind of planned. So. Thanks for the explanation, now it's all clear to me. I'm glad I could help. I'm also working on a video about HRB. Hopefully I will be able to release it next week. Where I present the whole concept behind the Herrscher of Rebirth and how she came to be much more in depth. But we are also going to talk about her during this stream. And hopefully answering some of your questions. One thing that was slightly unclear to me was what was that giant mech exactly that the OG Vita was talking to. That was a construct that she basically made to reach the depths of the Sea of Quanta with. But we have very little information other than that about that giant mech. Hopefully the second half of part 1.5 will expand more on Sa, because yeah, while we learned a lot about it during this arc, at the same time we didn't really learn anything about it. We just know that yeah, Sa is the original Vita from Venus, who gained some powers from the Sea of Quanta, and now she decided to go to the depths of the sea and for some reason is gathering energy. Do you think that HRB's authority was because of Seele's Herrscher, of that stigmata? I don't know. That was never really explained. But what's interesting is that in the moment that Prometheus wanted to basically execute her plan and put a restraint on Sa's core, just like how they put a restraint on the Cocoon of Finality in the previous era and creating a new Wheel of Honkai, she stopped for a moment and thought about which Herrscher authority would be best suited for this situation, implying that if Prometheus would have been able to go and put her plan into application, she was able to choose which Herrscher authority she could manifest. And I'm assuming the authority of creation and withering was the most suited for this situation. I'm still very hesitant to associate Herrscher Seele with the Herrscher of Death only because of the stigmata, because for what we know now, stigmata in the new era function very differently from the Herrscher stigmata from the previous era, and the two should not really be related. But yeah. Will you do a recap for chapter 39 like usually this stream? Yes, regarding this, I don't think I will do a recap simply because the chapter is extremely long. And if I were to do a recap with everything that happened, we will probably be here until tomorrow. So instead of a recap, I think that it's best to just talk about the key aspects of the chapter. Because especially the first part, until Vita revealed herself, it's more so just them talking about the plan and a lot of discussion that it's not really that important to be recapped. I will also do a video about the entire arc, a recap for chapters 36 through 39. And you'll be able to see the entire story unfold then. Whatever happened to Proxy Vita? We don't know, she just left. She just left to live her life. We have no idea where she went, what she's planning to do, she just left. Would you consider to do a short just to explain how Seele really becomes a Herrscher? Maybe I will. I'm very bad at taking a large amount of information and condensing it into shorts. I always have trouble, and I think that I usually spend a lot more time on shorts than a normal person would. This is something that I thought about in the past. Every time I bring out a new video, I can also make a short trying to communicate the idea of that video in under a minute, but it's something that I always struggle with. Even my usual scripts for my videos, usually in the first draft before I start recording, are a lot longer than the final product. Usually they are almost double the size, but I keep as I keep writing more drafts, I usually make them shorter and shorter, because like the characters in the story, I also tend to go on tangents a lot of the time. Is Fuhua lost in another bubble universe? She's lost somewhere. We don't really know if it's another bubble universe. I don't think that they confirm what Forus is. But I think it is. But we will get there. Okay, I thought that the current era Herrschers can retain its humanity because Elysia broke the finality strings, but it's not really related to Sa, so how did HRB still retain her humanity? They explained this fact. Seele was able to retain her humanity because Sa is less than a tenth of the cocoon's size, meaning that Sa is much weaker than the cocoon. And they said that if Sa would be more than a tenth of the cocoon's size, it would be able to control the Herrscher formed through its system, like Seele through the threads of fate. But since it's much weaker, it can't. So they were safe to create a new Herrscher because Sa wasn't strong enough to control them. Is Sa actually like the cocoon of finality? I mean, Sa is the finality on the Sea of Quanta. This is another thing that we are not sure of. From my interpretation, Sa imitates the cocoon. It's not really the same as the cocoon, because they put a lot of emphasis on the word imitate through the story, meaning that it's not really the same species as the cocoon or as the commander of will, for those of you who play GGZ. But it looks like Sa imitates, meaning that the systems that the cocoon puts in place in the worlds it chooses to operate, Sa does the same for the bubble worlds in the Sea of Quanta. And that's why they were able to use its system against it, because they already had experience with the cocoon. But we do not know exactly if the cocoon and Sa are the same species. I do not think so. Shorts are really bad. Do your normal stuff. It's good to take time and cook quality stuff. I mean, I always tried to prioritize normal length video, and shorts were just a bonus when I didn't have much of a time. And yeah, shorts perform drastically differently than normal videos, and shorts are more so for engagement and bringing subscribers. But one thing that I noticed is that the audience that watches shorts is not really the audience that watches normal videos. Usually if someone subscribes to my channel because they saw some of my shorts, are usually there because they want to keep watching shorts. They don't really come to the normal videos. So that's why I didn't really made a lot of shorts, because I didn't think if they are really worth it. But who knows? Maybe I'll try to do more in the future. The idea is that if I am to do shorts, I have to commit to doing shorts, and I'm not fully prepared to go in that direction yet. Also, hello Fartin. No, we just started the discussion, you didn't miss too much. Do you think that Sa will be the main final boss of the next part? I feel like she's a small part of the big picture. I don't know. We really can know for sure. What's for sure is that she's set up to be an antagonist in the future. If you want my personal opinion, is that Sa will be most likely the main antagonist for part 1.5 and most likely for APHO 3. I don't think that Sa will be the main antagonist of part 2. Just for APHO and the remaining story of part 1.5. That's what I think. Now they could set up Sa for an antagonistic force for the entirety of part 2. We do not know yet. Are you planning to do any Captain Verse videos? Being relatively new, I know practically nothing about it. Yes, but not anytime soon. Because right now I am very focused on explaining the Honkai Universe series, and also I want to make relevant content for the main story of the game at the same time, so I don't really have the necessary time to catch up with some of the older events of the Captain verse, which I also didn't play when they came out, so I know almost nothing about them. I only have a general idea. But yeah, most likely at some point I will make a video about the Captain verse, but it won't be anytime soon. What's your opinion on HORB Seele not gaining a proper CG animated short and being demoted into a cutscene only? I mean, we knew this from the beginning. They said in the CN live stream when they started part 1.5 that we won't have any new animated shorts for a while. That was a known information. I would have loved to have a new animated short, but they decided not to do it. My guess is that they are probably saving them for part 2, which is fair, you know. If they want to start part 2 with a bang, I'm sure that saving the animated shorts for that moment of the story is a good decision. But yeah, like I said, I would have loved to see a full CG for Herrscher of Rebirth, but it is what it is. I don't really have that strong of an opinion about this as many people in the community. I mean, for me, at the end of the game, at the end of the day, this is just a game. I don't really care that much about these kinds of stuff. I'm fine either with it or without. So yeah, I don't really have that strong of an opinion on this. Thoughts about Kyoshu possibly being the new MC of part 2? Oh, I would love to, but I don't think so. I don't think they'll bring Kyoshu to Honkai Impact 3rd. I feel like they have some characters that they really like to keep them in the original game, and I think that Kyoshu is that character for GGZ. In the same way that I think that Alicia is that character for Honkai Impact 3rd. It's a character that's very popular with the community, has a very important role in the story, but for some reason they don't really want to bring it to the other games, because they had many opportunities to bring her to Honkai Impact 3rd until now, and they never did. And I know that this seems like a very good opportunity to make her the new MC, but I honestly don't think that they will. I think that we will, like they said during the 6.9 developer livestream, I think that part 2 will have a completely new cast of MCs, like characters that we never seen or heard about. The cutscene is really good though, despite not being a full CG. Yeah, I agree, the cutscene was really good. And they made a lot of strides with the cutscenes in game, especially in the past 2 years. They really did a lot of improvements. But yeah, there's a lot of characters from GGZ that I would love to see in Honkai Impact 3rd. Who knows, we can hope, but at this point I don't think so. And I know that a lot of people also talk about having more characters from Honkai Impact 3rd in Honkai Star Rail, but honestly I would like to see some characters from Honkai Star Rail being brought to Honkai Impact 3rd. Because from my understanding, GGZ brought over some characters from Honkai Impact 3rd. Now I'm not sure exactly which are all the characters, but one example that I know for sure is Wendy. This is something that I know for sure, that Wendy first appeared in Honkai Impact Third, and only after that she was brought to GGZ. Captain Verse will be the main cast of Part 2? I don't think so. From my understanding, Captain Verse should end with the story of the Captain Verse should end with the new patch in 6.9. So I don't think that we will see more of them. I mean, maybe they are referring to the fact that the initial story of the Captain Verse, which was the Captain finding Luna Kindred again, is ending, and maybe we will have more adventures with the Captain and the cast. That would be cool, but we don't really know for sure right now. Okay, please do not post any leaks. Any kind of leaks for any horror games will not be tolerated, and you will be timed out. Recently I have watched someone replaying chapter 20 on the slow moving text stages. There are two names that stand out, Luca and Chinchue. What? Really? On the Apocalypse family tree? I mean, Luca is a pretty common name, especially in Europe, but the other one is a bit sus. When is the next video explanation? My next video should come out hopefully in the next weekend, or if you're referring to the next video in the Honkai Universe Explained series, I don't really know yet, but I think sometimes at the end of September, maybe the beginning of October, because I have two other videos I'm working on before that. And I know that a lot of people ask me about the series. One thing that I want to mention is that explaining the Honkai universe will be a long time video series, meaning that it will take a while to finish all the 5 parts, and it will my aim with the series is to be done with it by the end of the year, or at least before part 2 comes out. So it will be a few months until all the videos are out, because it's a lot of work, and usually those videos require a greater amount of work and research to go in them. And at the same time, I don't want to focus only on those and be left behind with the relevant videos regarding the story, like Herrscher of Rebirth or the story recaps. In the new video, you mentioned that Einstein explained the bubble universe are like cups of water that the overflowing are like cups of water, and the overflowing part is the sea of quanta. So can we travel between bubble universes in real space, or am I missing something? We can't travel between bubble universes in the real space, because from what we know, the sea of quanta is an entirely different structure. It's different from the imaginary tree. At least that's the general understanding for now, and the two kinda like exist as different structures on top of each other. So we cannot travel in the Sea of Quanta through space, but interestingly we can travel in space through the Sea of Quanta. But not in the sense that if we have access to the Sea of Quanta, we can travel through the Sea of Quanta and get out in a completely different space in the real world. Sorry if this question is too personal, but how old are you? I'm asking because the content you make for sure takes a lot of time and it's rare to see someone this dedicated. Love your work. Thank you. I mean, I don't really try to keep my age a secret. I'm 28 years old, so I'm almost at the big 30. And yeah, I think this is also the reason why I am able to invest so much time and dedication into these videos, because I'm finally at a point in my life where I could settle a bit in and figure things out. So especially in the past 2 years, I got a lot better at time management and making sure that I can distribute my time in a way that allows me to properly work at the videos. And I am also very glad to see that despite the fact that I post so rarely, because I usually post 1 or 2 videos a month, which for a YouTuber is not very good. You want to be consistent. The optimal, from what I've learned, the optimal scheduling would be at least 1 video per week, which as you can see, I do not do, because I take my time with my videos. And despite that, I am very grateful that they are performing, and even if I only post 1 or twice a month, people are coming back and are interested in my content, which again reassures me that I can take my time with them and I don't need to rush them out for the sake of being consistent. We should throw a party for you at the big 30. I mean, we will see. I'm still 2 years away from that. Don't remind me. How old do you think Sa is? Did we get any indication to that? Yes, we actually did. It was mentioned. I know that in the English translation, they mentioned that Sa has been doing this for billions of years. Now, I didn't check the CN text to see if that was a mistranslation or not. But we know for sure that Sa is very old, like very, very old, much older than the previous era. In any case, it's... do you plan on making a living out of YouTube? Not in the near future, but maybe sometimes for now. I mean, I would love to. But it's really, really hard. Because being a content creator is not that profitable. Even with my size, and I don't want to boast or say that I am a big content creator or anything like that, but even at my size and the number of views that I have, it's nowhere near close to be able to make a living. And I can't really see myself just doing what I do now, getting to a point where I will ever be able to, honestly, because trust me, you don't really make a lot of money from YouTube. And I do have a lot of sponsorship opportunities, but most of the time they are from very sketchy companies or games or products that I'm not really comfortable promoting, because I had the opportunity to do sponsored content and every time I refused because I was like, nah, just because I thought that those people that offered had very sketchy products, and like I said, I wasn't comfortable promoting it to my audience. But yeah, without chilling out, it's very hard to make a living on YouTube. This Homo Labs video is sponsored by Rady Shady. Honestly, I'm not exaggerating. I probably would take a sponsorship from Raid, because at this point Raid is a meme. everybody knows of it, nobody takes it seriously anymore, and they are from they never offer me a sponsorship, but I know other people they offered to, and they offer a ton of money. I mean a ton. So no cap, I would probably take a sponsorship from Raid. Raid is unironically a good game. I've heard that. I've played it once, but this was a while back and only for a couple of hours, and I deleted it. But I do know people that play it regularly, and they all say that they like the game. So I can't really comment on that. Yeah, but anyway, let's talk about some topics from the recent chapter. Now give me a second here to set some things up. Alright, let me know how is the music. Is it too loud? Hey Homo, what do you think about the boss fight against Vita? I really enjoyed it. It wasn't as flashy and spectacular as the boss fight against Kevin, which was my favorite boss fight in the entire game, but I really liked it. Especially the first part where we have the whole platforming. I think that is the best before boss fight minigame that we had. Maybe turn up the music a little bit. Alright, give me a moment. I raised the volume a bit. Kevin's boss fight should be a raid. Yeah, I know, Kifune. They have so many cool boss fights that are more recent that they could actually turn into a raid if they wanted to, instead of the raids that we have now. But yeah. Anyway, I wanted to... I know that I said that we won't do a recap, but I wanted to have at least some footage from the chapter in the background while we are talking. Alright, so let's I have some topics that I wanted to address from this chapter that I consider that are more important. First is Herrscher of Rebirth, Seele, and a very interesting discussion about this battlesuit prior to its launch. After it was announced, what was the fact that it is psychic and it's not quantum, because Seele is always associated with quantum. And I have this personal rule that I don't really like to judge battlesuits or things that are just announced but we have no context of, because a lot of the time we miss the important parts due to the lack of context, and all the things make a lot more sense with the context, and this is the same. And a lot of people were fooled by the wording used in this chapter, because Schrödinger mentioned that they are trying to create a Herrscher that is born in the Sea of Quanta, but the fact that a Herrscher is born in the Sea of Quanta doesn't mean that the Herrscher is quantum. As we know, Herrschers are in nature imaginary, and Seele is no different. The only difference is that she was born inside of a bubble universe through Sa's system. But during the entire chapter, they put emphasis on the fact that that they try to create an imaginary singularity. So a lot of people that say that Seele should be quantum because she's quantum in the lore are wrong, because she's not quantum in the lore, she's literally imaginary in the lore. But they made her psychic because of balancing issues. So this is something that I wanted to point out. HRB is not quantum in the lore, it's imaginary, like every other Herrschers. But why not bio? I don't know, I am not on the balancing team. Probably they I mean, if not imaginary, I think that the typing that is the most associated with Herrschers is psychic, because it's Honkai in a sense, before imaginary existed. So it makes sense from that perspective. Yeah, I think that the last bio Battlesuits was Aponia, back at the beginning of last year. So we really need a new bio Battlesuit. But is HRB connected to the cocoon and thus be affected by Kiana siphoning? HRB is not connected to the cocoon, it's connected to Sa. Is created through Sa's system, and we know that Sa is momentarily too weak to control its Herrschers, so basically it cannot control Seele for now. But we also learned this chapter that technically it's possible to switch hosts, for a lack of a better word. So I imagine Kiana could take over Seele's core if she wanted to, and make her part of the cocoon. But that's purely speculative for now. We have 4 psychic Herrschers and no quantum one. I mean, like I said, even in the lore, she's not quantum. And for balancing reasoning, quantum would not be a great pick, because Susanna is already quantum, and the two of them work in the team, and that means double implosion in the same team, which is kind of broken. You had a Bronya with that weapon that we got from the Colosten arc, and you basically have triple implosion in one team. That would be bonkers. So yeah, I get why she's not quantum from a balancing reasoning, but I wanted to point out the misconception that she's quantum in the lore. She's not, she's still imaginary even in the lore. I thought that she doesn't use quantum or imaginary powers because she doesn't want to hurt anyone, and that's why it's only physical, but that was my reasoning. I mean, it is mentioned that she doesn't want to use the withering powers of her authority, because since she is basically the Herrscher of that, she has both the power of creation and withering. And she says that she doesn't want to use the power of withering, which is basically the power of destruction, unless she is forced to do so. Just as a last resort thing. And as far as I'm aware, she didn't use that power in the fight against Vita, she only used the power of creation. That's why Vita called her gentle, because she could have used that power and won even easier, but she did not. Please do Captain Verse in another video. Like I said, I will do a Captain Verse, but not anytime soon. As the story explains Seele's stigma of the Herrscher of that, they never really went into details. I think they have an explanation, a short one in the Azure Waters manga. But they never really mention it again, and they never really associate Seele with the Herrscher of that afterwards. But she basically became Herrscher of that now, so I don't see it's not. I don't think it's necessarily connected to her stigma. It could be, but it was not mentioned. Where does Rita's powers come from? Is she the only S-ranker without some kind of superpower backstory, and she's just strong? Yes, Licor. Rita is just a regular Valkyrie. She just uses a regular battlesuit and regular Honkai energy powered weapons. She doesn't have a stigmata. She's not a stigma awakened like Lee Sushang or Durandal. She's just a regular Valkyrie. But that doesn't mean that she's weak. She's quite strong, hence why she's an S rank. But compared to the other ones like Durandal, like the Herrschers, of course that she seems weaker in comparison. Yeah, she's British, and that's on par with being a Stigma Awakened and a Herrscher in my opinion. Even more impressive. I thought Rita was German, hence the surname. Yeah, you would think so at a first glance, but she's actually from Manchester. So yeah, she's British. Rita trained with Dudu, and also both of them trained under Ragna, which is also Himeko's mentor. Captain vs Rita is probably the strongest character in the game, given she holds gods inside her lamp and has the consciousness mapping ability that the captain has. Yeah, Fallen Rosemary is still a mystery. We know from the developers, they confirm that she is a being of higher order, but other than that we don't really have any more details about her. And I really hope that we will learn more. Because it's a bit crazy to me, because they announced that the Captain verse will end next patch, but we still have so many unanswered questions and mysteries that I would honestly like to get an answer for. Who do you think, Fuhua? Agni, we'll get to that part at the end. Also, Kuro, thank you for subscribing. Anyway, so the fact that HRB is basically imaginary is something that I want to point out. Another interesting thing is Sa's origin, Vita herself, the real one and the proxy one, and Venus, aka Purusha. What's interesting about this is that we know that in the past Venus also fought the Honkai, which they called the Abyss. and the Honkai beasts were called abyssal beasts. So this confirms something that was already kinda known, that Honkai may have different worlds, different names in different worlds. And we can see this is even in the Captain verse in the Sea of Quanta, because Honkai a lot of the time has funny names through different bubble universes. This is one thing. So we know that they also fought the Honkai on Venus, and they kinda lost the battle. And we see this during Act 2, which is the entire backstory of Vita. Basically what happened, after Venus or Purusha was on the brink of destruction, Vita proposed to link every living person's consciousness together to calculate and produce an outcome that can secure humanity's future and defeat the Honkai through a technology that they called the Soul System, which is basically a weird combination of ER and Project Stigma. And they basically did that and linked their consciousness in some kind of virtual reality projection. But what they did not anticipate was the fact that the Honkai was able to enter in that simulation and attack them there. They even mentioned that the first data life form from the Soul System that was created inside that project was taken over by the Honkai and become their enemy, something similar to the Herrscher of Corruption. And we can see that after that, when things were a bit dire and only Vita and Mara remained, they talked about what would be the best course of action. And they also revealed that basically Venus got an endless energy, amount of energy from the Sea of Quanta. And they used that to fight against the Abyss, but in the end they couldn't win, and at some point something happened, and they refer to it as the tsunami from the sea. That power that they had from the Sea of Quanta basically flooded their world and killed everybody. So it wasn't really the Honkai that killed them, it was that power from the Sea of Quanta. And we learned that the only survival after that incident is Vita herself, who kinda became Sa after that, because she didn't need to breathe anymore. And we know that she tried to look for survivors after that incident, but she never really found anyone. And she was she was on the verge of basically going crazy. Yeah, and after that moment, after she gained that power, she basically become Sa, or what is known as the beginning of the entity known as Sa. And after that, she started the Soul System again and realized that the human consciousness that was backed up had not disappeared. And she basically restarted the whole system and linked everybody's consciousness, everybody's sim, to the system that we see in the beginning of Act 2, which is the whole Colost and Ryu's map. which was basically a life simulation system that she used as a backup to store the consciousness of the rest, and to build that giant mecha that allowed her to go to the depths of the Sea of Quanta. And from there we don't really know what happens. We know that she basically renounced the name Vita, which was her original name, and became Sa, and she started to destroy bubble universes in the sea to gather energy for some purpose, imitating the cocoon of finality. And at some point we know that Proxy Vita was created, which is basically a life form that resembles the original Vita that she created to oversee the destruction of the bubble universes. And with Dr. Mara's help, at some point in time she developed her own personality. And and that's how Proxy Vita was created. And she wanted to free herself from Sa, which is the original Vita, and waited for an opportunity for quite some time. And this opportunity finally showed itself with Seele and the rest arriving in this bubble universe. Yeah, a clone. I saw some people online debating that the term clone used in the English localization is not really correct, and in the Chinese they never really said clone, and the implication that she's a clone is not quite correct. I'm still not quite sure, so I tried to not call her a clone until I look into that. I think the cocoon just moves from a planet if life doesn't recover whenever it triggers a mass extinction. Yeah, even regarding the cocoon of finality, we don't really have any idea about how it operates, really. We know that it tries to make more of itself by the samsara system. But we don't really know when it decides that, okay, I wasted enough time with this world, let's move on to the next one. How was the Blade Durandal created and by whom? The Blade Durandal was created during the previous era as a tool to manipulate space, and ended up in the Sea of Quanta. From what I heard, in CN they just call her Proxy. Yes, Proxy or artificial life form, but yeah, I also heard that they don't really call her a clone in CN. So yeah, anyway. And it's pretty interesting to see the relationship between Sa and the cocoon, because from what we saw this chapter, it is implied that Sa is afraid of the cocoon, and that's why it doesn't try to get anywhere near it, and it just edges the border. But what's interesting is that they mentioned that Sa is afraid to go near the third and the fourth planet of the solar system, which the third we know that it's Earth, and the fourth is basically Mars. And it's interesting to think why they also mention Mars, because we know that the cocoon is near Earth, so it operates on Earth for the moment. Now maybe its influence reaches beyond Earth and it also reaches Mars. Who knows, maybe that's what they are referred to, or maybe there's another cocoon on Mars or something similar. But that's also something that I wanted to point out, that I thought that it was interesting. Do you think that OG Vita originates from an era before PE which attempted to escape the Honkai by moving to another planet? I mean, they kinda confirm that Vita is way before PE during this chapter, since if we are to believe the English translation on that one, Vita should be, I mean Sa should have billions of years, and PE was only 50,000 years ago. So Sa should be way older than the previous era. But also an interesting thing is that Vita mentions that they didn't have interstellar travel on Venus at that point, so they couldn't just leave their planet. They didn't have the technology, which maybe I misunderstood something, because I found it really weird that they had technology to literally see in the future, but they couldn't build a spaceship to go into space, which is a bit weird from my perspective, but I mean, who knows, maybe I misunderstood that part, but I'm sure that she mentioned that they didn't really have interstellar travel. And yes, regarding your discussions with the Herrschers, it is implied that basically the Herrscher authorities there are more Herrscher authorities than we know of. The 12 Herrscher authorities that we have are because the previous era planted this command into the cocoon of finality through the will of Honkai to repeat the same Herrscher cycle in the current era. But it is pretty much implied that if they didn't do that, in this era we would have completely different Herrschers than the previous ones. Yes, exactly. They built a quantum computer, but they cannot build a rocket. Who created Blade Randall in the previous era, Moth? Yes. From my understanding, I forgot most about the Blade's initial lore, but it was created by Moth, if I remember this correctly. Yes, and regarding the comment about Herrscher of Corruption on Venus, they didn't call it Herrscher, but it basically functioned like the Herrscher of Corruption. And they even mentioned that as the technology advanced on Purusha, stronger and stronger abyssal creation, abyssal monsters appeared. So maybe they did face Herrschers. I mean, most likely they did, but maybe they didn't name them. Maybe they didn't really make a distinction between a Herrscher and an abyssal beast, like the people on Earth did. Again, this is very subjective. Like I said in the past, it's unreliable narrator. Each planet, each civilization has its own interpretation of things. Just because we call them Herrschers on our planet, or we call it Honkai, doesn't mean that other civilization does the same or has the same understanding of it. And this is something that Dr. Mate pointed out multiple times. An emanator is probably another name for a Herrscher. We don't really know. I would refrain for associating Herrschers with emanators and the cocoon with aeons too much, because from what we know, at least now, they seem different in nature. And I know that I am one of the main people responsible for the whole terminus is responsible for the cocoon of finality, since I made that video about finality. But to be fair, at that time we didn't have much information, and that seemed like a plausible explanation. But after looking more into it, that idea goes further and further away, especially since I made the mistake to look only on the English localization at that time, and I didn't check the CN text, which would have made it a little bit more clear, because the characters used in the Aeon of Finality and the Cocoon of Finality, or the Herrscher of Finality, are different in Chinese, meaning that Terminus and the Cocoon are, or the Herrscher of Finality, are not really the same. But I can see the comparison purely on a functional level, in the idea that both Herrschers and emanators can manipulate some form of imaginary energy or some form of power from a higher dimensional being. On that scale, yes, I agree that they are very similar, but I don't think that in nature that they are the exact same thing, but with a different name. Thoughts on Vita maybe being the female Sue we heard about in ER. I really don't think she is, because the details don't add up, mainly using the second key to spread her influence beyond the earth. Yeah, Loop, I don't think that Vita is the same female Sue, because like you said, the information doesn't really add up, but I do think that Vita is a female Sue. There's no doubt in that. It's just that she's not the one that Sue mentioned in ER, which means that there are multiple evil Sues out there. Maybe that's another proxy, because and we will talk about that in a bit. We know that apparently there are more proxies, not just one. Who is Ai-chan? Not Lambda, but the AI, and who created her and why? I know that there's a manga about her backstory. I think I don't remember correctly which one it is, but basically she is the AI of the Hyperion. Again, she was created in the previous era, but I don't remember if it was Moth, it was Dr. May. I really don't remember right now. It's something that I have to look into to give you an answer. Maybe somebody else in the chat knows better than me. Let's try to, if people have questions, if you know the answer, it's always good to calm the answer. Let's not give answers like play the game or be petty about it. If you feel like you don't want to answer, it's better to just ignore the person rather than say just play the game. Let's try to be good to each other. Maybe there are people that are interested and want to know more, that don't have the time to play the game or read the manga. And I know it's especially hard with Honkai Impact Third, since you, even on the internet, you'll find very little information about certain topics, so you really don't know where to go. So emanators can be compared to Herrschers in the role that they played on OG Vita's planet, but are still possibly different, because Honkai can pretty much take any form to fight the civilization. I mean, like I said, they are similar in the functions and the things that they can do, but I think they are different in nature. Especially since Welt points out the fact that Honkai and Eons are different. The similarities would be that they are both higher dimensional beings that have a degree of control over imaginary energy. The cocoon through its channel that lets it to manipulate the Honkai energy, and the Eons through path. And emanators and Herrschers could be associated by the fact that they are beings that get power from these higher dimensional beings, but for now we have nothing to point out to the fact that they are the same. They are just similar. The more pressing question is Vita still biologically human? Like, okay. Okay. You need to be bonked. But yeah, interesting question, I don't think so. Honestly, I don't think so. I think whatever she became after she got to the depths of the Sea of Quanta is very, very different from a human. And like Mr. Lin said during the chapter, the opponent this time is a wheel, so basically she kinda became a wheel. And again, wheel is a very broad term that can be applied to many things. In the same sense, the cocoon of finality is also a kind of wheel. The eons are also some kind of wheel. So it's a very, very broad term applying to beings that are beyond our comprehension, that usually have a goal. They are more like, how to describe them? They are more like cosmic weapons, in a sense. And first, I think they're referring to the actual Vita, not the proxy. Because the one we encounter in the bubble universe is not the real Vita, it's the proxy Vita. And I think they referred to Sa, which is the real Vita that we see during the flashback, and that we know that got to the depths of the Sea of Quanta. Alright, and yeah, let's continue. Another topic that I wanted to address is the regarding Sa itself, is its powers. Basically, what is Sa doing? It roots itself in the laws of the bubble universes of the Sea of Quanta and creates a system where the wishes of the people in these bubble universes becomes reality. And due to how the nature of humanity works, which is again a very interesting philosophical debate, if you grant humans all the wishes they want, eventually that will lead them to destruction. Which, yeah, says a lot about the nature of humanity. And the Proxy Vita mentions that it is precisely because Sa understands the nature of humanity and how the wishes can be used against them, why this system is so efficient and allowed it to gather all this energy over all the millennia that they have been harvesting bubble universes in the Sea of Quanta. And this is what happens with Fallen Star, which is the bubble universe that Hera and and Nigrat visited to investigate the Sky People at the request of the Sugars, where people basically ran out of energy resources and they wished for another energy source, and overnight the Star Rock appeared, which turned out to be very unstable and led to their destruction. And the same happened in this bubble universe, in the Salt Snow Holy City and the Country of Fire and Sand. Initially it was only a single bubble universe, which was the Salt Snow Holy City. But the people in that bubble universe always thought that there's an afterlife, and that the sage will bring them to the afterlife after they die. And thus a second bubble universe, which is the Country of Fire and Sand, which is the afterlife appeared. So this is how suddenly one bubble universe became two. And the interesting thing was that the people from the Country of Fire and Sand believe that one day the sage will bring them back to life and they will return to the Salt Snow Holy City. And because of this, their wish started to become reality and the two bubble universes started to merge. And we know that this is where the problem appeared, because the merging of the two bubble universe will result in basically some kind of implosion that would kill everybody and will release a giant amount of energy that Sa will harvest again. Through the same system, Sa brought two bubble universes to perish. And what's also interesting and a little bit fucked up, to be honest, is the fact that we also learn that Sa recycles these bubble universes. It doesn't completely destroy them. It recycles them over and over, and basically, just like the cocoon, it's a cycle where it does the same thing over and over again to gather energy. And this is again a thing that Sa does in order to imitate the cocoon. But I think they have a different end goal, since the cocoon wanted to embrace. The cocoon in the end sought coexistence, but Sa seems to want something else entirely. We only know that she wants to, from what she said during Act 2, she wants to create a new Purusha that is basically rooted in herself. Now, what does that mean? We have no idea yet. Can Sa come to our world? I want to see what happens there. I mean, for now we know that she's afraid of the cocoon, so for the moment she will not come to our world. But then again, we have APHO, where we have the Sky People, which we know that are the interstellar predators created by Sa, that were brought to Earth by Void Archives. But we know that this is 8 years in the future, but we don't really know if Sa finally gained enough energy that is confident that it can take on the cocoon, or I could imagine Sa having a vendetta against the cocoon and wanting to destroy it for what it did to her planet, and maybe that's the reason why it gathered all this energy to grow to a point where she could challenge the cocoon, and that's why the Sky People came to Earth, because from what we know now, Sa shouldn't really approach the Earth at the moment where we are in the story, because it was pointed out that it is afraid of the cocoon. But yeah, I think that we'll have more answers regarding this in the next half of part 1.5 or APHO 3, whenever that comes. Aren't the Sky People ruled by Mara who escaped from Sa? I mean, we have no evidence at the moment. We know that Mara planned to escape, and she basically confirmed the fact that she learned from Sa how to harvest energy from different planets. So I could see the Sky People maybe being a faction that has separated from Sa at some point. Like I said, we have no answers for the moment. We need to wait for the story to progress. But as of now, we don't really know. Couldn't Sa be dead in APHO and the Sky People just continue doing their own thing anyway? I mean, anything is possible. I don't think so. But who knows? The only thing that feels weird to me at the moment is that maybe something happened on the moon with Kiana, because as of now, I don't think that even the Sky People should pose a threat to us, given how OP Kiana should be at the moment. I mean, even beings like Lucania, I don't think would be much of a problem for her. So yeah, I really don't know. There are a lot of unanswered questions. Yeah, if you have any more questions regarding the things that happened during this chapter, any specific thing that you're interested in. If not, after that, we will move on discussing a little bit about what we know about chapter 40. Again, I want to reiterate, chapter 40 is not out, not even in CN, but we have a trailer from the CN side, and we have some files that they released in CN that are interesting, and I want to give a glance to them and to theorize about what could happen in the next half of part 1.5. Why is Seele the Herrscher of Rebirth and of Death? I mean, she is the Herrscher of Death, it's just the naming. Vita named her the Herrscher of Rebirth because she thought that Seele is too good, too sweet to have a name like Herrscher of Death. But in essence, she is the Herrscher of Death. It's just that the name didn't really fit her, so she named herself Herrscher of Rebirth. In the same way as Ellie was the Herrscher of Origin, but she renamed herself as the Herrscher of Human, because that was more fitting for herself. Hopefully Garuda Fuha released soon during this arc. Yeah, I think that Garuda Fuha will be the Herrscher of Rebirth of this arc. So I think that we will see her sometime at the end of this story arc. And if this story arc is also 3 chapters, that should be sometimes around the beginning of next year. Hopefully. How the two Seeles reunited at the end when everyone was dead except Red Seele. I mean, like I said, before Seele's soul disappeared from the bubble universe, the Herrscher core chose her as her host. And because the Herrscher core had the power of creation, it created a new body for Seele. And that's how they were able to reunite. And at the same time, Dark Seele found her using from the way I interpreted the You and Me cutscene, Dark Seele was looking for Light Seele using the Sage's power through the water, because the whole thing is a parallel to the story of the Little Mermaid, who at the end of the day turned into sea foam and became a spirit in the sky. And that's what they basically did during that cutscene. but instead of her becoming a spirit in the sky, it was Dark Seele using the sage's authority to look for her and basically manipulated the water. And that's where Seele's soul was, and through the Herrscher core she basically got a new body for herself. Since the rules that led to the sage disappear, will Seele still stay in the bubble universe? I mean, she pretty much confirmed that she will not remain in the bubble universe. Instead, the old sage will remain for a while to resolve some things, after which she will go look for Mistalin together with Prometheus. But and I don't think this would mention inside the story. I think this is from either a dorm or a dorm. This is either dorm lore or a special post outside of the game. But from my understanding, Seele can leave the bubble universe, but she will come back to check on it from time to time. Yeah, but anyway, guys, like I said, from now we will turn the discussion about on chapter 40 and theorize about the future of the story. So if you do not know anything about chapter 40, if you want to wait for the English YouTube channel to release the trailer for 6.9, which should be in 2 or 3 weeks if I'm not mistaken. If you don't want to have any prior information about chapter 40 before going into the story, then you should leave now, because I want to take a look at the trailer again, talk a bit about it, and take a look at the files that they have been released on CN during the past week and have been translated into English, and talk a little bit about that. So if you don't want to be spoiled at all, this is the moment to tune out. Thank you very much for being here, and I hope that this discussion helped you. But yeah, let's look at the trailer. This is it. Let me stop the music. Alright. Okay, so I am gonna play the trailer of once in the entirety, and after that we will talk about the most important parts. Also, let me hide the chat.
弗洛斯的管理者，我们还是第一次见到外面来的人呢。
Does it have? No.
这是一座因为流星而诞生的城市，不过一场可怕的天灾改变了这里。沉睡在梦中的星星们，请倾听我的愿望。光芒绽放。接下来是魔法少女的时间。喂，别躲！别乱动！ 在想什么呢？让我猜猜。哦，想要更多亮晶晶的东西。魔法可不是万能的。
Okay, so first, Sirin is very cute. Second, the reason why I wanted to play this trailer was because it has this part at the end, and from my understanding, a lot of versions of this trailer, even the one that was posted on the official Bilibili channel of the game, doesn't have this last part. This was only showed during the live stream for the 6.9 version. Yeah, so if you remember, during chapter 38 they talk about Fuhua for a bit, and Mr. Lin mentions that her goal was basically to bring people that basically share a body, and one is of human origin and the second is of non-human origin. And the first candidates were Seele and Dark Seele, but she also thought of a backup in case the things don't work out, and the second pair was Fuhua and Senti. But something happened when she was teleporting Fuhua, and while initially Fuhua was supposed to arrive in the Salt Snow Holy City and Senti in the country of Fire and Sand, in the same way as the two Seles were transported to different places. But something happened with Fuhua during the teleportation, and she went missing. Mr. Lin says that she has no idea if she remained on the Earth or if she was teleported somewhere else. But we learn later in chapter 39 that Fuhua also disappeared, and they were actually searching for them. And the only ones who knew this were Teresa, Kiana, and May. And they chose to not tell the rest of them because they didn't want to worry them. And that's why, if you remember the discussion between Kiana in chapter 39 and Herrscher of Sentience, it was a bit weird. It was a bit forced how Kiana basically tried to convince Senti to come back home. And it was later revealed that Kiana and Teresa had a meeting prior to that conversation. And basically they wanted Senti to come home because they want to send her to search for Fuhua. One. The second point I want to make is, if you remember that again in chapter 38, when they used the device that Vita had to calculate the future, that quantum computer, and we saw, Susanna saw a potential future during the APHO timeline, Kira saw a potential future that was actually the event, and Dark Seele saw the potential future where Light Seele was dead. But at the same time, Senti also saw something, but she basically, since she's the Herrscher of Sentience, was able to break free of it, so she didn't stay too much in that place. But she said that she saw a planet and the edge of the solar system, which again implies her future, which could be this planet where Fuhua is right now, because this planet is called Phoros. I don't know if this will also be the English localization, but for now let's call it like that. It seems very ancient Greece-like looking, and as you can see, this planet has 7 little Vitas who were revealed to be proxies in the same way as the Vita from Salt Snow Holy City was, and each has a different personality and is associated with a different color. And also at the end of chapter 39 it was revealed by, I mean, it's not really a revelation, but Teresa says that she thought that Fu Hua's disappearance had something to do with Sa, which would imply that Sa intervened in Mistalin's forced teleportation and brought Fu Hua intentionally to this bubble universe or this planet. We have no idea at the moment what Foros is. Yeah, so this is, and something else that I wanted to point out at the end of chapter 39. Oh no, this is part 2, I'm sorry, this is part 3. We have this moment with Fu Hua when she is like, yo, I thought you were, basically she met someone, and the implication is that she kinda knew that person from her past. Let me see, I thought you were, basically implying that it's someone that she thought is from her past and she thought she was dead. And again, this raised some questions. Who could it be? There are a few theories out there. First is that she basically saw another Vita, another proxy, and mistook it for Su, which would make sense since they are similar, but I don't think they are similar enough to be this to say, you, I thought you were. It would have been more, you look like this guy that I knew, not really I thought you were dead. But this is one theory. The second theory is Grisio, since we know that the Project Arc disappeared at some point, and she basically is MIA for 50,000 years, and nobody knows where she is now. This is again strengthened that Grisio might be connected to Sa in some ways, or she disappeared because of Sa. And this is again a very, very interesting theory. Again, people pointing out that the paintings that Grisio brought back to life look exactly like the Sky People, but and Sa uses similar looking monsters, but we know that Sa is way older than Grisio, so it doesn't make sense. I still think that in Grisio's case, those monsters were just used assets, but in Sa's case, they are not. Another theory that I saw is Su itself, because we know that he's technically dead, but we know that his consciousness basically went to a higher plane and he met some kind of will, which is implied to be greater than Honkai itself. So I think they could bring back Su if they really wanted to. I don't know. There are some possibilities. I even saw some people saying that it might be Holmes, since Fu Hua is in her Watson outfit. And I know that in one of the trailers she is referred to by a mysterious voice as "my dear detective," which was how she was used to be called by Sir Conan Doyle. We don't really know. I don't think so. I mean, it could be funny, but my guess is or Grisio or Su, one of the two. It's Kaupas. I mean, it might be. Who knows? Maybe he didn't die on the moon. I think it's Grisio because of the meteor shown in this trailer, possibly being Project Arc. I also saw a translated version of the trailer, and I know that the little Vita mentioned that this world was brought to ruin by a disaster at the same time. So maybe Project Ark was that disaster. Who knows? So we'll ask again, how likely do you think Sue is stuck with Sa because of the higher being thing? I don't know. I don't think that being is Sa itself. I mean, it would be interesting if that would be Sa. And maybe Sue is trying to stop Sa because Sa is basically an alternate version of himself. And I don't know, maybe he has a sense of duty. But the U in Chinese is male. Okay, that's interesting. That's a good information. I didn't know that. Again, I haven't checked the text in Chinese for this chapter. So if it's a male, that would leave either Sue, either Holmes. And honestly, as I think about it more and more, it would not be impossible for it to be Holmes. Because they imply that this entire story will be kind of like a detective investigation. But I know that some people might be furious because that would be the most underwhelming situation. I mean, there was a 7.1 character leak, but I will not spoil it here. Please don't. Anything, any leaked information that you know, please refrain from spoiling it. Either way, the chapter will come out next week, and the people who keep up with CN hopefully will find an answer. But knowing Hoyoverse, probably not. I mean, probably will not know who that person was for the most part of the chapter. Maybe it will reveal that at the end, or maybe not even that. Maybe in the next chapter. Or the chapter after. What is Sirin exactly, Herrscher? Which Sirin? If you refer to the Sirin in our world that died during the second eruption and whose personality is continued, her wishes and her persona is continued by Kiana, then she was a Herrscher of the Void. The Sirin from the event is basically a magical girl. I wouldn't necessarily call her a Herrscher per se, but apparently the people that control Honkai energy in that bubble universe are not Valkyries, but are magical girls. So yeah, you can think of her as a magical girl. How is you male? Like, it is a unique pronunciation. From my understanding, depending on the letters used in Chinese, it can the letters used in Chinese to address someone can be distinct depending on the gender of said person. So both mean you, but depending on the genders, you may use different letters. Okay, let's not talk about the leaks anymore. And yeah, another thing I wanted to do is to read this character files that Hoyoverse have been releasing for the past couple of days, which basically serve as an introduction for the new arc. I mean, I want to mention that not all of them are out at the moment, and quite a few are still to be released next week. But I wanted to talk about at least the ones that are released for now. And courtesy to Chibi, who is a translator who is very active and translates a lot of Hoyoverse related content from Chinese to English. We can take a look at them. So I think it's better like this. Information: Fuhua, occupation, tourist. I mean, tourist, question mark, personal color. She would change into many colors in like a poof. Another thing, this text is basically wrote from the perspective of the little Vitas. So that's why they are very childlike in nature. Remarks: the seven little Vita has their represented personal color. Basically each Vita has a color, and that's why they had a personal color for Fuhua as well. But she, like they said, she doesn't really have a color because she can change in multiple. A visitor by accident. She has a lot of combat experiences and can knock you out, and can knock out a Bunkai beast, which is how they refer to the Honkai beast because they cannot pronounce Honkai, and they say Bonkai, with a single punch. In addition to her unrivaled strength, she is also very smart and often says things like things that only a detective in picture books would say. However, ever since she came to Forus, she's been frowning like she's thinking or troubled by something. According to Orange, which is another Vita but they are separated by colors, this face was especially noticeable when she saw one of the exhibits in the museum's display case. This is a commentary by Red Vita. I think I can smell something big coming. Which Fuhua is this? This is Hawk of the Fog, which is the augmented version of Valkyrie Excipritor. Or Watson Hua. Okay, next one. We'll talk about different Vitas. This is the Red Vita, Vita of Indecision. Job: city inspector. Always full of energy and positive. She is always on the move to solve the problems in Forus. Even though she is often injured, she sees it as a badge of honor for her bravery. In short, she is the most popular Vita in the city, self-proclaimed. Adventure of the Vita of the Indecision, episode 2. On the day of my departure, I came to some remote houses according to the intel from the residents. Following my deduction, behind the dusty metal door there must be some kind of secret. Perhaps a horrible synthetic monster was being held there, or perhaps someone was plotting a haste that would soon shake the city. In any case, I was ready to push open the metal door. And Vita of Foresight comments: that's a nice story, Render, but I just want to say it is but my warehouse for my failed inventions. Okay, so these are basically meant to be some flavor text to introduce us to each separate Vita and how each of them is different from the other, what role they have in the city, and what kind of personality they have. We see that this is very energetic, very bubbly, very active. Why is Vita female Sue, by the way? I mean, we know that character variants in this game are very common, and Vita has many similarities to Sue that are beyond just, oh, they look similar. They share the hair color, their eyes are identical, and even the tattoos on their bodies are identical. Especially the biggest sign is they both have an identical tattoo on their neck, which is a pretty big giveaway of the fact that she is meant to be a female version of him. And this is the tattoo. You can see it in the picture with the little Vitas. Proxy Vita has one identical and Sue has one identical. Is Vita like VLV? Not really. These are not. We don't really know the context behind its Vitas. We just know that they are proxies, just like the Vita we met in the Salt Snow Holy City. They're basically artificial life forms created by Sa to mimic her appearance for one purpose. We don't really know. The purpose of the proxy that we met in the bubble universe prior was to oversee the process of harvesting energy from different bubble universes throughout the Sea of Quanta. These 7 little Vitas seem to be tied just to the new place we visit, Forus. So I don't really know yet what's the deal with them. We are going to find out. Oh, by the way, Hoyo confirmed that we are getting a PV for part 2 during the CN anniversary. It's in a few weeks. Yeah, I know. I know that they said that. Okay, let's move on. Vita of Conservancy. Job, city educator. Personal color, orange. A friendly, sensible person who is always looking out for the others and is warm as the sun. She is responsible for all matters related to education in the city. Of course, this also includes educating other Vita. Trivia, job summary. In the morning, I visited the students in the Sunshine Study room and talked to the teachers about the current needs and future teaching plans. In the afternoon, I happened to run into Red on patrol and had a bruise on her leg and a dusty face. Who had a bruise on her leg and a dusty face? I'm sorry, I know that I butchered the text, but like I said, I'm tired. I don't know how many times I've told her she should ensure her own safety before taking action, but she always refuses to listen. I think that Yellow-chan is the one who saves me from worrying about that. But Yellow-chan needs to be a little more discerning sometimes. Do not follow the kids and call me mom. At least make it sis. Sa and Vita, so sorry, I called that by mistake too. Okay, what the freak did I just read? Wait, part 2 will come out soon. Part 1.5 will be that short. Kurokami, they pretty much confirmed part 2 for the next spring, sometimes in the spring of 2024, which should be anytime from March to May, which would be in 7 to 9 months from now. So it's still quite a while. And they also confirmed that this story arc with Fu Hua and the 7 Little Vitas is the second half of part 1.5. So basically we are already done with the first half. I thought 1.5 is just Seele's arc. Apparently it's both Seele and Fu Hua's arc. Because they said that part 1.5 is to focus on characters that weren't as developed as the main trio during part 1. Which now we know that are Seele and Fu Hua. I expected 1.5 to last more than a year, so I mean, if you think about it, if part 2 will come out in the spring, it basically lasted for a year. Because that's when the Seele arc started. My theory is that part 2 will come out with the Chinese New Year, which should be sometimes in early March, late February, early March. Sometimes around that, not exactly on the Chinese New Year. So Fu Hua's next job is to babysit these 7 Little Vitas. Basically, yeah. Okay, then next. We have 2 more Vitas. Vita of True Color. Job, city auditor. Personal color, yellow. A friendly, sensible person who is always looking out for the others and Okay, isn't this the same description as the... Yeah, it's the same. Okay, maybe this is an error when they translated the text. Oh no, they corrected it. Okay, so this is the good one. Bright and pure, sincere about her work and people. Her overly honest nature makes her a mood maker, a talent she isn't aware of herself on breaking through situations or creating dead silence. Trivia: the wolf is coming. A taste of the convenience brought by lies, people will inevitably fall into a cycle just like the story of the wolf is coming. Blue, it's wrong to lie, but if it were me, I would go there no matter how many times. Therefore, when the naughty children played their tricks for the 4th time, but they still did not lose Yellow's enthusiasm, they turned into mischievous. They turned from mischievous joy to uneasiness. To eliminate the uneasiness, they seriously reflected on their acts and gave an apology letter to Yellow. Yellow, if there is a 5th time, will you go? I'll go. However, since the children are so scared, I guess it's better to bring their parents and teachers along. Orange. In some way, Yellow-chan is also good at educating, teaching people a lesson. I have a feeling that the dynamic between these 7 little Vitas will be very interesting. Yeah, also, I want to see how Santi is going to interact with them. And I think this is the last one, which was released today, if I'm not mistaken. Vita of Discipline. Basically a Ponia Vita. Job, judge, personal color, green, info. Values discipline and order and has a schedule accurate to the minute for keeping proxies on time with their work. However, since most proxies are keen to act flexibly, the schedule is perceptually updating. Trivia, unexpected. 1 jog around Forus twice, starting from the free market. 2. Practice bouncy ball with Roni and Kalana. 3. Stretch and drink a glass of milk before sleep and after waking. Wow, Green, are you going to exercise every day like me? Yes, exercising can really cheer one up and get one ready for work in a better state. Which is true, I agree. Then the scale here that is much shorter than my height must be what you use to count the numbers of cases, right? You really worked hard. Red, I have to correct you. It is not much shorter. In fact, you're only 0.75 centimeter taller than the scale. Huh? Was that the focus? And Yellow Vita commentary. Whoa, Cis Green was shorter than everybody else. I thought you were the tallest of us. Okay, so this is the last Vita. And as we can see, the colors arting, I think it's reflected in their clothes. Yes, because they have the same eyes, the clothes have different shades. This is green, this is yellow, this is orange, and this is red. And we can see here, this is the red Vita, which I think since she was the first one introduced and how it was presented, I think that Fuhua will mostly interact with this one. But yeah, this is all we know for now. There are three more Vitas that haven't been revealed yet and will probably be revealed in the following days leading to the chapter's release in CN. But yeah, it's interesting because this place is most likely connected to Sa, right? And we will learn more about Sa during this arc for sure. And the mystery behind who was the person who was Sa at the end. For one, I'm very excited for this chapter. Cannot wait to finally come out in global and play it. Yeah, Vita's VA will have a fat paycheck at the end of this arc. Well, she basically has to voice 7 characters for the next 3 chapters. Yeah, I think that on 31 of August the new chapter will be released and should come on global at the end of September. So 4 weeks after it's released in China. And I thought that VLV's VA had it rough. I mean, each VA in this game has it rough at one moment. Seele had it rough during this arc. Basically, she voiced 5 different Seeles at some point. Bronia's VA has it rough with so many Bronias across Foreverse. It was VLV, now it's Vita's turn. And maybe we will keep one and they won't all die at the end. I mean, they most likely will die in the end. This is Honkai Impact 3rd. To be fair, Hikasa Yoko, Vita's VA, has not been getting so much main character stuff in these past few years other than sequels and stuff. So these gacha games really giving senior VA jobs. Both Seele and Fuhua's VA are considered a senior VA and not getting much job in the anime industry itself. I mean, I know that Fuhua VA is pretty old. She's the same VA that voices Detective Conan, which again is an extremely old anime. But even then, I think they do a really good job. Both VAs, even in Chinese and Japanese, for the past few arcs were amazing. Not as old as Hua. I mean, nobody is as old as Hua at this point. I think she's literally the oldest human in existence now that Kevin also died. And I mean, maybe if Su's alive, but he technically died at the end of the second key, and if Grisio's alive, she's technically younger than Fuhua, which makes her the oldest living human being. Hello Salt, hello, welcome. Hope you enjoy it. We are basically pretty much at the end of the stream right now, because we already talked about the most important aspects. I will keep answering a couple of more questions, and after that I think I will end the stream. Yeah, the oldest Earthling I want to mention, that is from Earth, not the oldest character or entity in the game, because there are older characters than Hua, seemingly. Kinda sad that Fuhua is the only one alive in the Flame Chasers. We're still waiting for Su and Grisio. Yeah, I mean, Grisio is bound to appear at some point. She has been foreshadowed for quite a while. Also, thank you very much for subscribing, Muzzy and Amira. I appreciate it. So I'm sure that we will see Grisio at some point, but when, I do not know. But I wonder if his Grisio will still be a kid or an adult. Technically Mantis age very slowly. I mean, you can see that Fuhua, Su and Kevin barely changed in all those years. But something again I want to point out is that Mantis is the misconception that Mantis don't age. They do age, but they do age extremely slowly. With the exception of Hua, who is technically immortal. The rest of them are not really immortal, but they age very slowly. So if they wanted to, they could totally age her. The only thing I know about Ai-chan is that in one of the mangas she said that she worked on a lot of jobs until Teresa hired her as a game coach, but where is it mentioned that she is from PE? Like I said, it's one of the mangas. I don't really have an answer, but I will look into this information. Lekor, keep this question in mind and ask me again next time, and I'll have an answer for you by then. Because I'm not confident that I have an answer right now, and rather than talking some bullshit and spreading misinformation, I would rather make sure for the next stream that I can answer you properly. Yeah, anyway, I think I will end it here for today. Like I said in the beginning, I'm really tired, and I think you all can hear it on my voice. But like I said, I will be really busy in the next few weeks, and it was either today or I wouldn't have done this stream at all. So I wanted to stream regardless and talk a little bit about the chapter and about the future of the story. Hoped it helped. Like I said, I have a video regarding Herrscher of Rebirth scheduled for next week, which again will offer you a lot more information about her nature and how she became a Herrscher. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time, which I don't really know when it will be. Maybe I will stream the sometimes at the end of September. If things go alright, maybe I will stream the CN live stream anniversary, since they said that they will announce some stuff regarding part 2, and we can discuss about that after the live stream will be over. But yeah, anyway, I will see you next time. Thank you again for tuning in. Bye bye.